Okay, so I forgot to mention in the very first recording session, that I am gonna put like hella sirens in this video so that if you see any of these signs, your brain will hear the siren. Like, I hope to be so annoying that like when you encounter this in real life, you just start hearing sirens, because I wish that like the books I read would have made a bigger deal out of these signs. I mean, like, for instance, Why Does He Do That by Lundy Bancroft. Like, everybody talks about that book, and yes, it's a great book, but like on the list of signs that you might be dealing with a potential abuser, he says like a lot of women take the wait and see approach, and that's the wrong approach, because you could end up dead, bro. Like, just trying to be certain that you have an abuser. So like, I would rather annoy you and you have what you need to make the best decisions than like leave this video sirenless and then you find yourself in a very dangerous situation. Like, I want you to understand and hear sirens when something isn't right. So enjoy. Oh my gosh. Hi guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my very first video, and even though it's like depressing AF, it's my first time making a video on social media. Y'all are gonna think I'm a joke, but I'm not. Like, none of this is a lie. Like, this is all very true. I'm just happy that I took the initiative to post, finally, to post my experience. Because I've been wanting to make a YouTube channel for so long, but I've just been like tired or making excuses. But here I am, period. So let's get into it. So I'm wearing this sweater today. I was supposed to record on Valentine's Day. As I said, I've been making hella excuses. But like, this sweater gave me the incentive to like actually go along with things. And my friends coming to me, some of them, and being like, oh, did this happen in your relationship? Did this happen in your that relationship? Because newsflash, like, I recently was in like a Lifetime movie ending to my relationship of almost 3 years. It's like 2.8 years, and let me tell you. What happened is, it ended with me breaking my leg and having a fractured spine at the age of 24. So that's how my relationship ended. All because of domestic violence. So let's get into some red flags that I'm sharing that have been in all of my toxic relationships that seem to be a common theme. So, backstory, I've been in bad relationships since I was 16. Like, minus one good one, which is how I know that I can successfully thrive in a healthy relationship and can find a healthy partner. But besides that one relationship, like, it's just been bad ones. So, I would also like to say, I am a Christian, and God says to guard your heart above anything else. And so I would just like to make that a main quote to guide your decisions by. Like, is this person really worth my time? Because we're supposed to be guarding our heart. So let's get into it. Some red flags that I've noticed from 16 to the age of now, of all the toxic partners that I've had, are fast involvement. And everybody says fast involvement, but they don't tell you how fast is. So in all my relationships, okay, the first relationship, I justified it as like, oh, we're friends. We were friends for a couple years before we started dating. But I mean, dating and friendship are separate relationships, so fast is still fast. If you're not really even talking and then he's like, oh, we should start dating, I would still say that's a red flag. Like, if you're not talking in a relationship way, like going from like friends to relationship, and then he's like, oh, we should date, and you never even knew he was interested, and then he's like, we should date. No, slow down. So that is the first red flag from my first relationship. Now, on my other toxic relationships, it still happened pretty fast. Like, all within, like, a couple weeks we were exclusive. Like, maybe 2 weeks. And then, like, boom, we're exclusive. And keep in mind, we're texting a lot. It's not just like, oh, whatever. It's like constant communication. And that's another red flag. Like, they want to text you often because the more time that you give to someone and spend with them, the more attached that you feel. So they just kind of want to be like, which is why you feel like you know them in 2 weeks. And that's why it doesn't sound ridiculous if you've been through it. Like, oh yeah, we got exclusive within 2 weeks. But that also kind of shows the possessiveness. There's my mom. Them get even more violent when you get pregnant. Because they're like, rah. Like, they don't see people as people. Moving on. So, fast involvement, less than 2 weeks, exclusive. Oh, I remember the guy who ran me over, pulled off in the car. I was asking him, like, because it felt like he was going to say he loved me pretty fast in the relationship, like less than a month into it. And I was just like, can you just not go there? And he still went there, which is a sign of, like, pushing boundaries. Like, they don't respect your boundaries. So if you're in that kind of situation, or you feel like they say they love you really fast, red flag. My first toxic ex ever said he loved me after 3 days. That was the one that I justified, like, oh, we were friends first. Still doesn't matter. Different type of relationship. You don't love someone after 3 days. You don't love someone in 2 months. You don't love someone in 1 month, I feel like. You don't know them. Number 2, age gaps. People have controversial opinions on this one, but I feel like if a guy is, like, seeking younger girls out, okay, like, for instance, if you meet on a dating app, maybe you should ask him what his preferences are in terms of age. And if he starts at, like, 18, he's in his 30s, I'd say run. Like, that's just nasty, because eventually, like, if y'all do spend your lives together, you're gonna get old, and he's still gonna be open to 18-year-olds. Like, doesn't that make you feel a little bit grimy? But also, like, I mean, I know some people like to date older people, but I just feel like that's setting themselves up for failure in a way, because older men like to take advantage of younger women. I feel like that's a common theme. But my ex, like, he was 2 years apart from me, which I thought was doable, but you could see in the things that he said that, because, like, one time we were talking about it, he was like, I could get some, like, 21-year-old who doesn't know anything and XYZ. Like, why would you even say that? Like, me personally, I don't date younger guys. It makes me feel grimy. So if a guy wants to go specifically for a younger girl, like, why can't he date someone his age or older? Makes no sense. Number 3, I feel like, is addiction. People can also say what they want about this, but if you are dating someone and they're addicted to anything and you're not, I would say run. That is a definite red flag, because that is a problem. Contrary to what some people might think, like, addiction is a problem. Like, you're putting yourself at risk financially, sexually, emotionally. Not all people dealing with addictions are abusive, just like not all abusers are addicts. That's how that works. However, if you are dealing with an already toxic person, and, like, all these signs that we're going to cover today, if you see all those and you decide that they're toxic and they're dealing with an addiction, it's just going to ruin your life, bro. Like, you're going to become an addict, or you're going to be severely impacted by their choices regarding their addiction. It's just, I don't think when a parent thinks about their daughter or son-in-law, like, their potential, like, who their child is going to marry, I don't think that in an ideal world a parent would be like, oh, I want my child to be with an addict, you know? So kind of look at it like that. Like, no judgment towards addicts, but, like, If you're an addict and you have abusive problems, you're a recipe for a disaster. And I said what I said. Number 4, confusion. If you feel confused in your relationship, like, all the time, bad sign. Abusive relationships are definitely confusing in general because it ramps up. Like, I'm sure if you read about abuse, you'll hear the analogy of, like, turning up the heat gradually with a frog. Like, if you put it in boiling hot water at first, it'll jump out because it knows it's hot. But if you put it in cold water and gradually turn up the heat, it'll die because you gradually turned up the heat and it wasn't expecting that. That's how abusive relationships are. It starts out small, but you ought to see the small stuff for what it is. So if you're confused, ask yourself, would I say something like this to someone else? Would I do this? Would I like this in my friendship? Is this normal? And kind of like, honestly, sometimes in my relationship, I'd have to be like, sometimes it comes down to like, is it legal or not legal? But, like, in my head, that still serves as a grounding point because it's, like, that still tells me right and wrong, even when I'm in the midst of confusion. Because legal and illegal, it's kind of like right and wrong, theoretically. So that could be a grounding bit. Or just, like, ask your friends and family. If everybody around you was, like, objectively, like, no, you should go. You definitely should. Because they're not brainwashed by your abuser. Your abuser is the one keeping you in a fog. So if you're confused, like, all the time and you feel like you're second guessing yourself and you always got to explain yourself, and, like, if you feel like this person is more of, like, a parent instead of, like, an equal and they want to find a win-win, it's probably not in your best interest to stay. Number 5 is pressure. Pressure has been, like, a huge thing that I found. If someone, like, okay, recent ex was pressuring me about a joint bank account, pressuring me to move in with him, pressuring me to pay bills, pressuring me to get a certain car, when that was not in my best interest. Like, pressure of any kind, even if it's, like, sexual pressure, or, like, why aren't you texting me, blah, 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 text me at the beginning of every hour, XYZ, like, pressure's never a good sign. If you feel pressured, that's another sign that someone isn't respecting your boundaries and they really don't care about what you got going on, because someone who respected you would not pressure you. Number 6 kind of goes into what I already said with fast involvement, but lots of texting in the beginning, kind of already covered that. Lots of texting, lots of time spent together. If you feel like they're your pet, if you feel if you feel like they think of you as their pet and you're, like, suffocated, if you feel suffocated, I'd say that's a bad sign. Possessiveness. They're laying the foundation to make you feel like you owe it to this person to stay, which is controlling. Everybody needs to come up for air at a time. So if you're with someone who constantly wants you around, like, I felt smothered in the beginning with my ex. I really did. So, like, seeing him every single day, except for a week, when he was living at home with his parents, and I told him, I was like, you know, that's kind of selfish. Like, you're not even in your own house, and I don't want to be an intruder. If you're in someone's house all the time, they're probably not going to like you, because they're going to be like, don't you have a home? You know? Okay. Another thing is, like, with the lots of texting, I noticed that my ex would ask me, like, 5 different questions in one text message. It just felt like he was just trying to get it out of the way, like. But this was specifically during texting. In person, it felt like he wouldn't really ask me that many questions, and it always went back to him. Like, he didn't want to hear about my day, but he wanted me to ask about his day. Like, I noticed in the very beginning, like, you don't even really ask follow-up questions. So if it seems like a one-sided conversation, cause for pause. Okay. Like I said, for number 7, financial pressure. Wanting to move in fast, definitely a red flag. Like, I met my ex on a dating app. At the time, I didn't, like, I was living at home with my parents, and my mom kicked me out, and I was staying with a friend, and he was like, we should get a place together, like within a week of us talking. But it's like, I don't know you, you don't know me, you don't know my living habits, you don't even know if I'm catfishing you, if you're catfishing me, like, way too soon. These guys be wild. Like, that is a wild thing to say if you don't know someone, but you want to live with them. So, that's sketch. Number 8 is they are charming. Like I said, my ex was laying on so thick in the beginning. Like, he would cry because of how good he felt, how happy he was. And I was just like, in my right frame of mind, I was like, I just think you're in lust, bro. Like, calm down. Like, you is cringe. It's like you never, I don't know, but something was off about that. Take note of that. Like, even if it feels good, even if the love bombing feels good, like, charming, in lots of abuse books that you'll read, being charming is like a red flag. You really don't want a charming partner. Like, if they're naturally just like a likable person, then sure. But like, charming, I feel like it's like putting on an act to get something out of someone. It's like more manipulative. It's more like con artisty. It's like abuser-ish. Okay. Red flag number 9 is control. So, lots of like signs of control. Like, I was always confused when people would be like, a red flag is control. I'd be like, well, what does that look like? Kind of just like fast involvement. Like, how soon is soon? So, what does control mean? So I wrote some things down. It's always wanting you to bend to their will. You can never have your own thoughts and opinions without them having something to say. So if you always feel like you have to like defend your position, and it's never like, oh, I see where you're coming from, XYZ. It's not like a harmonic conversation. It's like, you say something, then you can't say that, which also bends to confusion, because you're like, what is your problem? Why is conversation not easy? Like, why can't I just say something without you having to turn it back to you and your own expertise? Like, dang. Like, that's how I feel control manifests. And then also just like overtly being like, oh, well, you can't do this, you can't do this, call me by this time, be home by this time. Like, controlling. So tell me in the comments if you need more context of control, because I got you on examples. Well, I'm not trying to make this video too long. I got like 40 red flags. So number 10, negative and contemptuous and angry. Okay, so I noticed with my toxic exes in general, like, even the one I dated for a short while called his stepmom a B. My most recent ex, everybody was always an idiot, stupid, dumb, like, just real hangy of an attitude to people that he doesn't even know. Like, why are you coming so hard on people you don't know? Why everybody gotta be dumb? And he would say stuff like, I'm not an idiot. Did I call you an idiot? Like, I guess that's how you feel about yourself, but I'm just asking you a question, you know? Like, always on the defensive, always putting people down. He would put people down at every turn, even in, like, the beginning of our relationship. And I'd just be like, what is your problem, you know? Like, so if you have someone like that, that's very off-putting. And oh, if they're always angry too. Like, my ex was always angry, and like my parents would be like, okay, well, eventually he's gonna turn that anger towards you. And I didn't see it that way. I was like, well, maybe that's just how he is. Like, I mean, he obviously likes me. I was so naive, bro. Yes, he eventually turned that anger towards me. Like, angry people are angry in general. You're only in their good graces for so long before they're like coming at you. So anger is a huge sign that this person cannot regulate their emotions. Like, they let their emotions get the best of them, which means they don't really come from a place of logic and like wanting to make things good for everybody, which is another form of control. Because if you're not trying to find like a win-win out of it, then that is control. 11. Oh my god. Oh my god. Always a victim. I swear, my ex was a victim from day one that I met him or talked to him. Like, something's wrong in his life. Oh, it was so-and-so's fault. Everybody always leaves me. No one cares about me. I wonder why. Ask yourself that. I wonder why. Like, not to victim blame, but the person who's always a victim and nothing is ever their fault, that is an abuser. Cannot stress that enough. Cannot stress that enough. I'm gonna have a long pregnant pause so y'all can really think on that. Anybody who does not take accountability for anything, even if it sounds like they are, if you're like, my ex, okay, this was his apology. I'm like, it's this subtle. So he would be like, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry for what? Everything. Everything like what? Go into detail about what you mean. But no, always a victim, that is the person that's the problem. If you are always a victim and you can't be like, yeah, I failed miserably, I don't know what I was thinking when I did XYZ, and take accountability, you is the problem 1,000,000,000%. And that's all I'm gonna say about that one, because always a victim, you're definitely dealing with an abuser right there. Always a victim. That is just like disgusts me, because when I was in the hospital, my ex told me, he said, none of this is my fault. So what, he's the victim when I was like holding on to the door handle and he sped away and I broke my leg and fractured my spine, but he is the victim? If someone is always a victim and can't take accountability for anything, they will never change. You don't even need to waste your time anymore trying to like think yourself out of that fog that you're in and that hope that you have, like, oh, they can change. No. It even says that in the Bible. It says if a person cannot admit to their faults and the things that they've done wrong and repent and humble themselves, they will not progress in life. And I think that's somewhere in Proverbs, if I'm not wrong. It's either Psalms or Proverbs, but I think it's in Proverbs. So, number 12. Oh, like I said, can never take full responsibility. We don't even need to get into that one right now. 13. Oh, yes. You feel like you're dating a 5-year-old that you have to train about basic niceties. Like, there were times in my relationship when I'd be like, they treat you the golden rule in kindergarten. They teach you treat others the way you want to be treated in kindergarten. If I have to constantly baby you and tell you, like, why are you talking to people like that? Why are you talking about people like that? Then you're just immature. And a lot of narcissists and abusers are emotionally immature. So you're wasting your time. And it's exhausting. Like, if you're sleeping all the time, if you're gaining weight, if you just don't even want to deal, these are signs that your body is telling you you're in a very bad situation if you're dating an abuser. Because it is high-key exhausting. It's exhausting having to justify yourself all the time and then waste your breath on telling them how to treat people. Like, they just don't care. And it's also not your job. It's not your responsibility. Like, we as women and victims of abuse, just like, we have the personality profile to where we take on way too much responsibility. Like, that's how they pick you. That's how a predator picks their prey. Because they know who to look for, who's going to put up with their BS. But you don't have to do that. It's not your responsibility to put up with them, to baby them, to tell them how to treat people. None of that is your job. Okay. 14. The next red flag is being broke. So I never really used to care about this, but I feel like guys that are broke, like barely able to even like pay for themselves or whatever, will use that as a reason to get mad at you. Like, I don't even think broke guys should be dating, to be honest, because it's like, well, dating kind of requires you to like kind of consider someone else's needs, and it's like if you can't even afford to like feed yourself, you really don't need to be dating someone else, because then you're just in it for what, sex? But what if they want you to take them out every now and then and you're like, oh, I'm mad because I spent my last $10 on you. Like, I don't think broke guys should be dating broke girls either, but like, I'm kind of traditional in that sense, to where like I feel like a guy should be paying for stuff. So if he can't be doing that because he's broke, then Asta. So number 15 is lying. There's nothing I hate more than a liar, but I found my ex in so many lies. Like, even like little white lies, but just like lies. Like, even in the beginning, he would be like, oh, you mean so much to me, XYZ. And then it's just like, I saw on Messenger that he was texting this girl in another state. That's how I justified it. In another state. And he had previously hooked up with her, like before he met me. And one of the first red flags in our relationship was that he hooked up with her because she thought he was cute, and he didn't bother to ask her his age. Like, this was like when he was working at Walmart, and apparently she just went up to him and was like, you're cute, let's smash, because she's young. But he didn't ask her his age. Like, he didn't ask her his age, her age. And so I'm just like, that's grimy. That's very grimy. It's like, these people don't care. They don't see people as human. Example of that being a thing. So, number 16, withholding. Withholding love, affection, attention, time, you name it. Anything that makes you happy, just cutting it off when they feel like you aren't giving them what they want, or you set a boundary or something dumb like that. Like, they're gonna be babies about it. Literally, this is baby behavior right here. Like, instead of just talking things out, they want to like make you pay for whatever you did that they feel like is wrong. Number 17, okay, in the beginning, like, I would get semi-apologies, be like, I'm sorry, but, or, I don't know. I don't even know what kind of BS they would, like, just a half apology. An apology that feels empty and hollow. That doesn't really cover all parts of what was said, is the kind of apology I would get. But towards the end of the relationship, like, maybe in the year mark, out of like 2.8 years, like, it just stopped completely. Like, but I did tell him, like, stop apologizing for things that you know you're gonna do again. Like, I don't need to hear an apology if you're not gonna change your behavior. And the behavior didn't change, and I stopped getting apologies, so I guess I got what I asked for. But honestly, the thing that I really wanted the most was just an accountable partner. But that, if you feel like you're asking too much, then you're asking the wrong person. You're barking up the wrong tree. You're asking someone for something that they cannot give you. Therefore, like, just a pro tip, if it feels too hard to deal with this person, then it is. Like, they're not what you need. They can't give you what you need. Don't settle. 18. Okay, this one is gonna be controversial too, but I think that, like, swearing is a red flag. Like, if someone is always like, what the F is your problem? You effing whatever, like, just, I don't know, just vulgar language just rubs me the wrong way anyway. I don't really curse, But like, cursing can be used as a sign of intimidation and aggression. So if you got a potty mouth and like you ask for something and they're like, I was gonna give you the effing blanket or something, whatever. Like, that's still intimidation, that's still manipulation, that's still them trying to like show their aggression without being overt about it. So I would still say swearing is a red flag. Like, if you can't get someone that knows how to like express themselves without doing all that, then anyway. Number 19, past history of violence. That one also sounds self-explanatory, but again, so we make our own justifications. We do. But I'll give you an example. One of the very first red flags that I ignored in my past relationship was when he said that he tried to kill his mom's boyfriend. So what I knew is that he had been moving a lot. This was like when he was a full-grown adult, like at least 21, 22, 23. And he was living with his mom, and she had this like abusive boyfriend. And like, from my perspective, it was like, okay, well, if he tried to kill his mom's boyfriend, then maybe he was being a valiant son. But no, that's probably not the case, because I was not trying to kill him when he sped off in a moving car and broke my leg and my spine. Okay, so like, I was not coming at him in any way. So honestly, I think he just had some bloodlust and wanted to kill. And then like towards the end of our relationship, oh my god, he would lie about killing. Like, I'm in the hospital, mind you, and he tells me, your dad threatened to kill me, which did not happen. We have a room full of witnesses saying like that never happened. My dad, when he saw him after putting me in this predicament, did not want to talk to him. My dad is not about to go to jail for this hoe. And mind you, yes, I'm calling him a hoe because I feel that that is an appropriate word for him considering the circumstances. Like, he is a little hoe. Like, he's disgusting. But yeah, he was like, your dad like threatened to kill me. Lie. Then I found out, okay, the very last night that I was texting him or saw him, I found out he was texting my ex. I was like, why do you have like Jesse on your phone? And he was like, well, I told him if he ever messed with you again, I would kill him, because he texted me like Merry Christmas or something. And I'm just like, oh my god. Then I called Jesse because I'm like, okay, well, since, you know, I got my leg broken, and if there's a case that has to go on, like, maybe this will be useful information to prove that he has an aggressive history. Turns out that never happened. That never happened. He texted Jesse, added him on Snapchat. Jesse's like, who is this? He goes, you should know who this is. Inflated sense of self. You should know who this is. Jesse's like, I don't. Is there an issue? And sends a message, but then deletes the chat before Jesse can see it. So maybe he did say, I'll kill you, but Jesse never got that memo. So therefore, it was a lie. Like, why are you lying about killing? And then, like a couple weeks before the car incident, he told me that, like, since he still lives with his dad at 26, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if you're not in college, if you're not actively working, you're just being a lump. And that's what he's doing. He's just being a lump. Like, he's working for Uber, making the bare minimum of money to support himself because he doesn't want to work. Anyway, so, like, his dad's girlfriend woke up, was playing music, and I guess was disturbing his peace, and she just happens to be hooked on pills. So he tells her, maybe, like, since you're up so early, maybe next time you should take enough to kill yourself. Who tells someone something so vile? And even in the beginning, like, he would talk about her like an animal. Like, he would call her a lizard, a retard, like, just a body that pushed out a baby, just objectifying her so hard. Like, alarm bells now, but I was like wide-eyed in 21. Like, I can't really blame myself. Like, I was in the thralls of an abuser, and they are charming, and even with their anger, they'll get you to like second guess yourself. It's a very dizzying experience. So I have compassion for myself. I'm not going to blame myself for not knowing what I didn't know at the time. I did not know he was so evil. Like, my dad was like, the guy could kill you and feel fine. And I did not realize that my father was telling the truth until he sped off in a moving car. Got that one through my head now. Now I know that's true. Did I know it until 2.8 years until the relationship? No, I never knew he was that heartless. But I could tell you he is now. So if any of this is relating to your relationship, I will say run. Because these people really are heartless and they will kill you. So, number 20. I said, don't let yourself explain away the red flags that you see. If any part of you is like, this is weird, this is wrong, why would someone say or do something like that? It's just best not to waste any more of your time. 21. I'm gonna say religious differences. At the time, okay, so I've been baptized since I was 11, but when I was 21, I was like kind of dabbling in the occult, like tarot cards and astrology, and I didn't really think anything of it. And he was an atheist. And like now that matters so much because I'm getting older. Like, I need a partner that's stable. And you know, I also thought I could change him. That's like bad on my part. Like, and instead of being so, I don't think I'm like jaded when I say this, but I think I'm just being realistic. Like, people don't change unless they want to. And sometimes it takes a long time for people to want to change. Even if they want to change, wanting without doing the work, they won't. So I'm gonna just start saying people don't change. Like, as bad as that sounds, like, it seems to be the truth. People don't change. Especially ingrained habits of thinking, especially the ones that make up an abuser. Like, you don't just suddenly start taking accountability of all your life you've exploited people and been like, nah, I'm gonna control the narrative and do what works for me and blame it all on you. You don't just wake up overnight, just like someone like me who doesn't do those things just starts doing that. Like, it doesn't work like that. So I'm gonna say religious differences, that means a lot. Like, if you're not, you gotta be equally yoked. If you're already a Christian and non-Christian, if you're in that boat, just wash your hands, because this person is satanic. At least right now in their life, they are sent from the devil if they are not religious. Moving on. Number 22, your family and friends. Okay. This can kind of be confusing because, like I said, abusers can be charming, and like either your family ends up loving them and taking their side more than you and you feel invalidated, or your family and friends are like, what are you doing? They suck. Like, this person is vile. You should leave. So I feel like if you're in either of those two circumstances, like, it's a bad deal. It's a bad deal because, like, family and friends can influence you into staying with someone who's totally bad for you, but be like, oh, he's so sweet, because they don't know the real him. They don't see him, like, exploding and cursing and rah-rah. They just see the charming, like, outward appearance that they have. So you have to, like, run your context by yourself and see which part of what I'm saying makes sense. Number 23 is you are embarrassed to tell the truth about things that have happened or been said in your relationship. I think that one is self-explanatory. Like, if you're embarrassed, you don't want to tell people certain things. Why? Because you know deep down, like, this is messed up. I should do something about this. But when people hear the whole this is messed up, they don't want to acknowledge that it's messed up, because then that means they feel a call to action that they're not ready to make yet. Which I totally get. Like, had I not been dragged up and down the street, I probably wouldn't have made the call to action either. But there is a call to action once you know that something's wrong. So I'm gonna just let that statement stand on its own for that one. Number 24 is reckless financially or rigid financially. I would say that both of those are equally as big red flags. Like, if you're with someone and you can already see that they're, like, doing too much, and you're like, oh, this person clearly doesn't care about how they spend money, that's bad. Like, for instance, in the beginning of this relationship, my ex told me he spent $600 on weed. And I'm just like, what the heck? That's like half of someone's rent. That was my rent pretty much when I was living in the apartments like near campus, because I go to college. My rent at one point, all bills paid, was $650 a month. And he told me he spent that on weed. Like, that is a huge red flag. Now, equally, I feel like a red flag would be like someone who's tight. Like, a lot of victims of abuse have said, like, I had to ask my partner for permission to even buy stuff at the grocery store, and he doled out my money. Like, that's bad too. Like, I've heard of girls having to give their entire paycheck to their abuser. Like, so again, just any type of thing that rubs you the wrong way about their spending habits, no. Oh, okay. Like I said earlier, this is one red flag that I'm putting on its own, but they don't want to hear about your day. They don't want to hear about your interests. They don't want to hear anything about you. Like, the only thing that they want to come out of your mouth is something about them. So if they don't want to ask you about your day, I remember telling my ex, like, early in the relationship, like, you don't want to hear anything about me. Like, you don't ask about my day. And he was like, well, if you want me to know something about your day, you can tell me, but I am not obligated to ask you about it. Like, just weird stuff like that. Like, who says that? That's not colloquial at all. Does that sound like that person wants a bond with you? No. So if you hear stuff like that, like, just run. That person is not, they're just not willing to be equally as giving. Like, what? Demeaning music is red flag number 26. If you are with someone who's listening to, like, I don't know, like, aggressive rap or just aggressive music in general, like, demeaning towards women, even if you listen to that kind of music, I mean, if a girl listens to that kind of music, I still think that's a red flag, but, like, especially if she does it in front of a guy, because then he's gonna feel like, oh, it's okay for me to talk to her like that. And I don't even like it when girls call each other the B word. Like, that is so just... There are other words, ladies. But, like, demeaning music, I just feel like, especially if they have the audacity to play it in front of you, I feel like that's pushing your boundaries right there. Like, you gotta be able to see it. Because he has a lot of nerve playing stuff like that in front of you if y'all are just starting out. Like, that's not the one. Okay, number 27. I'm gonna say it's video games. I'm gonna just say right now, like, if you're dating a gamer, I'm sorry. Like, I feel like, yeah, video games are popular, but if I have a little son, I am not letting him play video games. I'm sorry. I don't want him to turn into, like, a creep. Not all video gamers are creeps, but I just feel like, how can you not, like, see the world differently if you're chronically playing a game? Like, that's about objects and things. I mean, I guess, child, but, like, if you're dating a gamer, that might just be one of my personal red flags. I'm not, no, 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 no. That is such a turn off for me. Like, I don't want to marry a gamer. I feel like a man that plays video games or watches anime is not a fully developed man. Like, how can you lead me as a man if you're playing video games? Like, I just feel like that's for little boys. If any demographic of people are playing video games. I mean, it's just kind of cringe for girls to play video games, in my opinion, but specifically guys too. Like, ew, I'm sorry if I'm offending someone, but these are just my feelings. Like, and I feel very strongly about video games. Like, they freaking irritate me so much. I'm sorry, but you is not developed as a man, in my opinion, in order, at least not enough for me to date, if you over here playing video games. I'm sorry. Like, you is too old. You should have done grown out of that. You should be at work. You should be even at the gym. You should just not be playing video games like a middle school little boy. Oh, okay. 28 is a lack of direction in their life. They're just kind of like floating through. They have no goals. Kind of like what I described. Like, just mooching off their parents, not even having a full-time job, not going to college. Like, what are you doing with your life? Why do you feel content to live this way? Like, you're living in stagnation and you don't care. Like, then that person is just going to try to derail what you have going on if you have more stuff going on than them. And then they just might feel bitter because a lot of people just are prone to jealousy. Personally, I don't really get the jealousy because I'm just like, well, everything looks good on paper, but like, only God sees what we don't see. So, in my opinion, there's just no use in being jealous of anything or anybody because, like, any life is so fragile. Things can change overnight, like my life did. And let me tell you, it is not. I mean, compared to some of the women I've seen with their face blown off due to these guys being so reckless and careless, I'm sure they would be rightfully jealous of my situation. But like, I don't think many people would envy what I've been through. Like, there's just no point in being jealous is my point with that. Okay. Okay, kind of like an earlier flag I mentioned, but 29 is can't tolerate anybody else's input or views. And I did notice that in the relationship, like in the very beginning. Like, I would say something and it would just be like, no, like, he wouldn't even say like, no, like, I'm right. But you would just get the sense of like, they feel like, no, I'm right, and my word should be the final word. Like, if you feel like you have to kind of censor what you tell them after a conversation because you get the sense that they're like saying in so many words, like, I'm right, you need to listen to me, being controlling, you have your answer. 30. The relationship is negative more often than not. I think it's just like, okay, even in the very beginning, like, I think I just like was at least astute enough to pick up on the fact that, like, I mean, okay, I kind of got into the relationship, I feel like, because I was bored. There's a guy I was hooking up with, he was like, I want to be with you, and most of my relationships I've just been like, sure, fine, whatever. It hasn't been like, oh, I like you for you. It's like, you're decent, you want to be with me, I guess. And that's kind of like a bad fault of mine. I'm just so like easygoing, and I need to be more selective. But if it's like you're upset or you just can see red flags that you're ignoring and you just are like, this person is just giving me the ick because of XYZ, and you feel bad in it or like sussed out in it more often than not, then you already know what you need to do. You just don't want to do it. Oh, number 32 gets deep. It's if marrying them or having kids with them, if those thoughts like distress you in some way, then I don't think that's your person. You should be like 100% like, yes, this person adds to my life, they're my best friend, XYZ. It shouldn't be like, no, we're gonna break up before we get married because I'm not marrying him. Like, I'm not living like this for the rest of my life. If you're like me and you're young and you're like, nah, I'm outie, then you're wasting your time and theirs, honestly, but you're wasting your time. And like, the longer you stay with an abuser, the harder it is to get out of the relationship because the attachment grows, the trauma bond grows. Like, if you is feeling off even in the beginning, don't be like me and stay. Especially if you're not even like really into them, if you just kind of like were led into the relationship, lead yourself out. Ugh. Okay, invading physical, mental, emotional, sexual boundaries and then getting mad at you for having them. So if they try to make you feel guilty about like checking them on a boundary, like for instance, one time I didn't want Peyton like early on to grab my butt as we were walking into a store and he got an attitude with me. I'm like, what is your problem? I don't want you to touch me like that in a store. Like, he just got an attitude. I'm like, so if the, little things like that grow. Okay, the last one is you feel like he's a girl because he's all over the place. Like, women are stereotypically more likely to be moody because, like, we have PMS and stuff. But if you feel like he's just, like, all over the place and you're just, like, you're acting like a girl, like, you're more moody than me, like, I'm more logical than you, kind of, like, gender stereotypes there. But if it's accurate, if you feel that way, I would say that's a red flag. It means like you know that he's not acting in a way that is the way he was meant to be. Like he's not meant to be all out there like that. Like he has emotional issues. And then if he tries to like control where you go, your clothes, your friends, what you eat, how you spend money, your life, where you live, anything that's like big or small in your life, like if he like gets mad that you're on the phone with a friend or you're wearing a certain outfit or just whatever, like you don't owe him an explanation. Like you really don't. As much as he wants you to think that you do, you don't. And then I would say, like, okay, guys that tell me that they want to start a business, I get the biggest ick from. Because I'm like, ew. Like, especially if they're not going anywhere in life, like, context matters. Like, if he's a business major, maybe sure. But if he's, like, a nomad, like the person I mentioned, and they're like, oh, I want to start a business, like, they're gonna try to use your money to do it. So I would just be like, red flag, run away. And it also shows you that they want power and control because businesses require that. And if they can't even like have enough discipline to regulate their life and they want to start a business, there's a saying that's like a guy will treat you the way that he acts in business. So, or you can tell a lot about like a guy's wife by the way that he runs his business. Something like that, but just don't. The last one is if he stomps on your dreams and ideas but wants you to support his and you rarely have fun together. Those are big signs that your relationship is not working. It's just not. It's not working anymore, if it ever even did. So I hope that these have left an imprint on you and your thoughts, and hopefully it can shed a little bit of light into at least urging someone to leave if they're already thinking about it, because it doesn't get better. It gets worse. Way worse. And I'll put a lot of like book recommendations in the links below in the description, and also like a playlist of songs that I listened to when I was in the throes of my abusive relationship. And trust me, there are many throws. Like, I have like journal pages of me being like dating back from 2022 of like, oh, I wish my relationship could change. I wish you would do this. Like, that's when I still had hope. But like towards the end of our relationship, I did not have hope. I was like, okay, this is who this person is. I kind of just like accepted it, and I was just like, I'll just barely talk to him so that like when we do have time together, it'll be decent. But then like abruptly, I got streamlined with a car, so that just made the decision for me, which I'm honestly grateful for. Like, if I hadn't signed the emergency order of protection, I'd still probably have gone back into the cycle, but at least that holds me accountable. Like, I'm not trying to look like a fool in the eyes of the law and like still be in contact with him and look like a joke, because I'm not a joke. I will not be the butt of his joke anymore. It gives me the freedom to live my life. So I just hope that you guys leave here today with some golden gems to think on, and hopefully, oh Lord, hopefully you can have a loving, happy relationship, hence the shirt, because they are possible. And I wish you and me both the opportunity to have that in our lives whenever we're ready. So thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe and comment. All that good stuff. Bye.